Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. I'm your host, and it is my special honor to welcome our special guest, Hannah Fierman. Hannah, how you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for being here. First of all, how did you enjoy that convention last weekend?
Okay, so that was my first real con. And I mean I went to Comic-Con like maybe 12 years ago, but I was there as an artist, as a
Uh-huh.
painter, and I was just dropping off art. So technically I guess that was my first con, but this was my first con like as an actor and my first horror con especially. And I kind of always knew it was going to be amazing, but I didn't realize how much fun I was going to have. Like, oh my gosh, I'm addicted. Like I'm coming back to all cons, any con, I don't care. I'm coming. Like I had so much fun.
And a full disclosure to our viewers, me and Hannah and my producer, we ended up in the show office Saturday morning together. We ended up coming in, checking in at the exact same time, and Hannah was the first person that we actually met at the convention. And it was like off to the races then. I have not been to a convention since the mid 90s. And then, of course, I started this show over a year ago and I got to meet all these great people doing interviews. But this last weekend was the first chance, since COVID, that I got a chance to go out and actually meet people, not virtually through a camera, and it was an absolutely amazing experience. So I'm really glad that you enjoyed it. The energy in there was great. Uh, and I was amazed at how many people showed up. It was a pretty big crowd, and everybody was really, you know, just giving hugs, and it just felt good to be in a place where, normalcy was, you could feel it was coming back again. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was like it's so funny because like nobody there was normal.
That's
But it
true.
felt so good. It felt so good. And it was just like people were like skipping around and cosplaying and just like hugging each other. And, we could see each other's faces. And I also like, so the reason I got into this con or conventions at all is because of my buddies Damien and Felissa. And I'm directing their next movie. And, they're always doing these cons, and it looks like it was so much fun. And I was just like, on our last meeting I was just like, well, North Carolina, I could drive there, I want to do it. And they're like, yeah, come on. And so I was like this last minute guest, and I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know what to wear. And I drove up with my other actor buddy because I thought she'd have a blast too, and we just needed to get out of the city. And man, I'm just like, oh, this is like a community. These
Yeah.
people, this is like a lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
almost.
Yeah.
And I want to be a part of it. I'm like full in. I'm just like it's like Burning Man. It's like I'm a burner, but it's like not Burning Man. What do we call our? Is there a word for it? Like a horror or what do you call
It
it?
depends on who you ask.
It
Some people
is there
call
a name?
us, horror geeks, horror nerds, or, fanatics. Uh, I don't think there's a specific term for it. But so you're directing a movie with Damien Maffei and Felissa Rose?
It's Maffei, and yeah, they're both acting in it, and they're both producing it, and I'm directing it. Yeah, our next movie.
That's
It's called The Events Surrounding a Peeping Tom. Hmm.
that's awesome. I did not know that till you just told me. Speaking of Felissa, uh, we all know
Oh,
Felissa
you
from.
broke up. I can't.
Oh,
I can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
Say that again. Yeah,
Uh,
it
uh,
might be my Wi-Fi, and I apologize for that if it
no, it's
is.
okay. It's okay. I was talking about Felissa and how hugely popular she is. Of course, we all
Hmm.
know her from back in that, huge sleepaway camp, which is a cult classic. But I was
Yeah.
blown away on just how much she's just this ball of charming, delightful, fun energy. I mean, she's just a blast.
She's a blast, and but I also want to say that like she's also incredibly intelligent
Oh yeah,
and organized and just maybe she's kind of everything. Like I'm so impressed with her, and she's been an amazing producer, and she's also a really talented actor. Like,
oh yeah.
you know, people I feel like people focus on her bubbly, you know, presence a lot more, but there's so much more to her, you know?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
she was standing next to a lady, and I'm like, "Is this your assistant?" She's like, "Oh, that's my manager." And she was in the middle of signing autographs. So I'm like, "Okay, you go, continue signing your autographs. I'll talk to your manager." So I go and I talk to her manager, and I'm like, "I hear Felissa is producing a movie," and her manager goes to me, "She's always producing a movie." Yeah,
She is producing like 10,000 movies all at once. Like, okay, it's hard enough to produce one movie. Like, I'm not a multitasker, and she produces multiple movies, multiple, you know, at every step. Like, she's just always doing all of these fascinating things, and um, it's just so impressive. It
it
just, I
is.
mean, it just straight up is. Yeah, I'm really impressed with the woman, and I really appreciate like that she's put me in her last two features. I was the lead in one, and I was one of the leads in the last one, and that was in September and December. And then she invites me into her world, in her con world, you know, and it's just like she's just embraced me.
Yeah,
And oh my gosh, you know, it's just like I'm just so grateful for the support, you know, and for the you know, she just believes in me. And it's just such a great feeling,
yeah.
especially after you've been, you know, in lockdown and you maybe question your life choices and you're just like, am I doing the right thing? Maybe I should have, you know, maybe I should have been in the finance world or something. Like, I don't know. And then you find somebody who just like straight up believes in you, and then just she saw my short film and wanted. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me? You there? Oh, I think we froze. Let me see.
They
Yeah,
they gave me money and asked me to direct
that is
a
so.
segment, write and direct. What?
That is so cool. Now
Shit.
you were
I think
also.
we're.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't. Okay, now I can.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm
No, it's okay. It's
sorry.
okay. No problem.
It's probably my Wi-Fi. There is a storm
Yeah, I
outside,
know.
so
Yeah, I got
that
knocked
might be
out by
that.
a storm earlier as well. You were part of that
That's annoying.
panel, that all the women of horror panel this last weekend. What was that like with
I'm just gonna sit here. I'm just gonna sit here until you come back because you're frozen.
I'm frozen? All right, hold on. That's not acceptable. Hold on, hold on, hold
Oh
on.
dear. Okay, I think you're back.
I'm
I can
back?
hear
Okay.
background noise.
Can you see me?
Nope. You're frozen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see me now?
Fuck, you're frozen again.
Ah,
I can see you, but you're frozen.
uh, can, can you hear me? Here, let's reattempt this. Hold on. I will call you back. 1 second. All right, guys. This is just part of the live part here. 1 second. Let me get her back.
All right.
All right. Let's try
Are we
this
back?
again.
Okay.
All
Try
right.
that again.
Yes. Can you hear me
Oh
now?
yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, and you're not frozen. Yay. Okay,
Yay.
that was
Okay.
annoying.
All right.
Sorry.
No,
Okay.
this conversation is way too fun. Now, you were part of that Woman of Horror panel this
Yeah.
past
How
weekend
great
with.
was that? You missed it. You didn't see it, did you?
Well, I was trying to work out uploading clips. You see, this has been my first convention since I started the show,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a learning curve for me. Okay,
Okay.
I attended as press, my first convention attending as press, and I was trying to see. I came in. Well, I'm going to do some live streaming, but then I was trying to upload, and I'm like, this is not working. So
Um.
ultimately, I decided, you know what? I'm going to record my footage, and then after the convention is over, I will then, share it with my audience. So I did my executive producer who was there recorded it, and I came in towards the end when you guys were doing the photo shoot, and
Okay.
I saw the recording part. Bei Ling, man, she's a blast.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. I'm in love with that woman.
she's
She is so cool. Like
she
we exchanged phone numbers. We're hanging out.
yeah, yeah.
We're hanging out. Like that chick is too much fun.
She is
Yeah.
such a trip. It was you, Bei Ling, and Felissa on that panel.
And Naomi.
And Naomi. Oh my God, Naomi. Naomi, I had interviewed Naomi. So Naomi was the first person that I actually got to meet in person. I've done over 60 interviews, but
Yeah.
because of COVID, she was my first guest that I actually got to meet in person last weekend.
Oh,
So
nice.
the four of you together were a blast, and it was great. I got to see the tape part because my brother recorded it, and then I got in there for the photo shoot, and you guys just seemed to have a lot of fun uh,
Oh my gosh.
on that panel.
I mean, how could you not have fun with those ladies? Like they're so fun. They're so positive and clever,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I was just kind of overwhelmed. I was kind of like, oh, I don't think that I'm your peer, guys. Like you
No,
guys are way cooler than I am. But okay, I'll just stay here and act like I'm supposed to be here. Whatever, it's all
no,
good.
no. You belong with them every bit as all of the rest of them. Now let's get to your movies. Now you
Yeah, okay.
started out uh, in like the late 2000s. You were in a couple of shorts, uh, and then you jumped into movies. Let's talk about what. How did you? First of all,
Actually,
go
that's not
on.
accurate. I've been making. I did my first feature film in as a supporting role in 1998, I
Oh,
think. Yeah, and I had done multiple short films before that as well. But I haven't even seen a lot of them, and I know that that feature got made, but I still haven't seen it. So yeah, so IMDb isn't
oh, I know.
entirely accurate.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, but carry on. I'm listening.
Uh, VHS is where
Yeah,
I first saw you. Okay,
yeah.
I believe you're in the first movie. That segment that we saw, that was the first segment in the movie, wasn't it? Was it the first or the second segment?
Yeah. So it was the first segment, but the wraparound started the movie. So the wraparound tied the anthology together. So it wasn't the first thing you saw, but it was the first segment. Yes.
Exactly. When they got in and started putting the tapes in and watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, your
Mm-hmm.
segment, well, to put it, I guess there's no other way to put it, but you played one creepy ass girl in that movie. Uh, Now, this was going back, what, VHS is 2012, so
Mm-hmm.
almost 10 years ago. Going into that film, how did you get the role? What did you think of the script? The movie was produced, I believe, by like Bloody Disgusting TV.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that all come about for you?
So, I had already been a working actor in Atlanta, and I decided that it wasn't big enough, and I wanted to come back and produce movies within Atlanta because I felt like there was a wealth of talent there that wasn't being utilized. But I moved to New York for 5 years and had a relatively successful career up there doing television. And I moved back to Atlanta, and I had always been friends with these indie people that I'd been making movies with since the 90s. And David was one of them. David Bruckner was one of them.
Hmm.
And he was basically like, "Hey, Hannah, you want to play this role I wrote for you," basically. And so, it was gratuitous. And I mean, it that they were going for gratuity. I'm not
Yeah.
criticizing the movie. It was pure filth. But that's what they were going for, and they did it well, and it was awesome, and it was provocative and everything David wanted it to be, uncomfortable, you know, self-evaluating. And so he comes to me, and we're friends already because the community is very small with indie filmmaking, or at least it was back then. And And he's like, "Hey, you want to play Naked Demon?" And I was just like, "Do I? I don't know. I knew I wanted to work with him because I think he's brilliant, and he is. Um, but then he's like, he just gets into the story of it and just like is so excited, and it was just so like infectious, and it just sucked me in, and I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I might as well hit the ground running. I just moved back to Atlanta from New York, and I knew I wanted to work with him, and I knew, I wanted to work immediately so that I would continue working, because as soon as people see your work and see that you're working, they want to work with you and
Yeah.
get the ball rolling. And it was just like, this little indie that I didn't think was going to go anywhere. Nobody did. And but I was like, oh, okay, I trust you as a director. I trust you as a storyteller. Yeah, there's a lot of nudity. Um, but I had already done nudity for this television show. And so I was just like, well, I've already done that. It's not so bad. And I believe in the story, and I think this character could be really, really interesting and provocative and strange and wonderful. And so yeah, so I told him yeah, and I thought maybe the other directors of the other segments might see this thing, but I didn't think it was going to go anywhere.
So you
And
guys, oh, sorry, go on.
yeah, no, what was your question?
I was gonna ask, so you guys were all just really surprised on on how popular this film became. You were
Oh my
not
gosh,
expecting it.
we were not expecting it. I mean, like my picture was in the Rolling Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Like they like ripped off a picture of me and put it in Playboy. I was just like, can you legally do that? That seems like illegal.
I don't think they can. To be
Yeah,
honest.
well they can't. But evidently if you take them to court, it's just press. It's
Yeah.
just more press for them. So it's like, just don't bother, Fierman, just leave it alone. Um and that was a little weird. And I just got so much attention, and it was just so overwhelming. I didn't know what to do. It was a fascinating process.
So
But
would
I
you call VHS like a your big a break into the next level in your career?
absolutely, and the horror community really embraced me after that because it was good. It was a really well done segment. Um, and Misunderstood Monster. It was just, people just really connected to that character, and it was fun because I developed it with David. So we were grassroots up. He was just like, "How do you want to play this?" And I was like, "Well, I want her to walk like this." And they had these contact lenses for me, and I was just like, "I don't need them. My eyes are freaky enough without them. It's fine." And yeah, it, it was just making art. It was just making art with my buddies. That was what it was.
That's what it was, and it turned out to be a big hit.
And it did, and it did. And I just got so much attention, especially our segment was like the face of the entire thing. And then there was another VHS, 2, 3. I think they're about to make a fourth one. And every time it's revived, I get this influx of attention again, and it's just like people want to cast me in things, and they're watching it for the first time. Maybe they weren't old enough to watch it in the first place. And
Exactly.
10 years, that's a minute. And so that basically, I had done films before, but that was the one that like really put me in the genre, and I'm so grateful for it. Like, I love horror fans. I love horror filmmakers. I think they're some of the most creative artists in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the fans are some of the most accepting in the industry. So if you want to try something new, you can do it in horror, but maybe not in other genres. They're just like, no, I like my formula. But in horror, if you scare somebody, if you make them feel uncomfortable or whatever it is that you're trying to do,
You did
they
a good
reward
job.
you for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they reward you for it. You don't have to have an A-lister in it. They're just like, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna give it a chance. If it sucks, I'll definitely tell you, and they do. But yeah.
So when you got into acting, would you say you were a horror fan in when growing up or anything like that? Or like as like you just described, you did VHS, became this huge hit, the horror community accepted you, and then you just fell in love with not only horror films, but the community, the genre itself and everything that comes with it.
It was baby steps for me. Um, and now I think that I'm okay. So I used to not be able to watch movies. Actually, horror movies. I watched. You remember that? What was it? Lights Out. You remember that 2 minute
Yes.
short?
Yeah.
They made a feature of it.
Yeah.
So I guess about 10 years ago, I don't know how long ago it was, but my buddy was like, "Hey, you want to watch this? Let's get our scare on. It's only 2 minutes. Come on, watch it." And I watched it, and I slept with the lights on for 2 weeks. I
Wow.
the 2 minutes, 2 weeks lights on. I couldn't go to sleep with the lights off. But I think I've become a little bit well. Okay, so the genre is huge. There's so many like subgenres within horror
Yes.
that you can't say if you're a horror fan or not, because there's definitely at least one horror movie that you're just like, yeah, that was a good movie, like Jaws. Everybody loves Jaws.
Yeah.
You say you're not a horror fan, you love Jaws, you're a horror fan, you know?
Yeah. Everything can
Um,
dabble into, even dramas, action movies. They all dive a little bit into the horror realm.
Absolutely, and they'd be boring if they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so, but I've definitely become a bit, well, evidently my friend Damien was telling me that, he got me to watch this movie, and I was just like, I'm not going to tell you which one. And I was just like, the ending was so funny. And he's like, that shit wasn't supposed to be funny. What's wrong with you? And I was just like, no, but rewatch it. It was hilarious. He's like, no, that's fucked up. It's fucked up, and you're fucked up. And I was just like, okay. Maybe I've become hardened. Maybe just like working in the genre has made me just like,
Well, speaking of Damien, I mean, I'm sure you've seen Haunt. Did you see how his character looked in that movie?
oh my gosh. Every time he posts pictures of that, it triggers me. I'm just like, take it down. I'm so upset. Take it down. I hate that shit.
He was
It's
he was a scary looking dude.
He was terrifying. It's so upsetting. And he's got such a beautiful face. Why would you cover up that face?
I know
I wouldn't.
when you meet him, it was funny meeting him, and on the table he had his picture of the devil in as in Haunt, and you're like, is this really you? They did such an amazing job with that makeup. Now you have your first writing credit coming out, movie
Yeah.
called Dead by Midnight. What was that experience like? So, I mean, you've done directing, producing, acting. Now you're
Hmm.
writing. How was the
Yeah,
writing experience?
I've been around. I'm an institution. Um, so yeah, the writing experience was great. Actually, that was one of my favorite things. So my husband and I are getting a divorce. Not a lot of people know that. It's happening. We're still friends. He's amazing. But he's an amazing writer. And when they asked me to do Dead by Midnight 2, um, I was originally reaching out to see if they wanted a writer for the
Yeah.
movie, because I wasn't even thinking that they want me to direct and write, because I wasn't marketing myself as such. And they were like, yeah, actually we wanted you to write and direct one. And I was just like, oh, okay. So me and Josh, my husband, we just brainstormed immediately, and I was just like, okay, how about okay, so I just played in a pilot. I had just played a televangelist that was actually a demon who would like pretend to remove body parts and pretend to heal them and put them back. Like, it was the coolest, funnest character ever, because you got to be as nuts as you want with that.
It
I mean,
sounds nuts.
televangelists are nuts to begin with, but like one that's supposed to be a demon.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so I just got through playing that character, and I was just like, okay, that was so much fun. I want to utilize a character that's similar. I want to do televangelist stuff. So I was just like, hey guys, like I immediately emailed the producers back, and I was just like, how about a little old lady gets revenge on a crooked televangelist? And they're like, yes, do it. And I was just like, sweet. So then me and Josh, we just like, I came up with the story, and he wrote it, and I helped, and it was so much fun, because you come up with these ideas, and for stories and for movies and stuff, and they're never going to happen. So it's just like, well, why would I bother developing that? Why
Yeah.
would I put my time and energy into that? It's kind of a bummer, even though it's a great idea. But this time it was just like, okay, we can do whatever we want, and And we did, and it was so much fun. Yeah. So I can't wait for you guys to see that. I don't think it's out yet. I
Uh,
think the distribution is just
yeah,
now.
yeah. It's not available for release yet. Now,
Yeah.
acting, producing, directing, now writing. Where going
Yeah.
forward? Where where does your heart lie?
Excuse me. Where does my heart lie? I want to I want to produce movies with all of my talented and ambitious and hardworking friends.
Hmm.
That's all I want to do. I just want to make movies with my buddies that deserve it. And it's so much fun. It's just like you feel like Santa Claus when you can just hire your friends to do what you know they can do incredibly well, and should be being paid a lot of money for, and you know that's what I want to do. I want to make indie movies with all of my talented buddies.
And you have no problem if you're in front of the camera as well, I assume. I mean, if they ask you to play a role or as a producer, there's a role that you think you would be good for, you would jump in front of the camera too, right?
Oh, absolutely. I love acting first and foremost.
Okay. Now there's a lot of stuff. Your credentials are huge. Again, IMDb is not the most accurate, but there's a lot of stuff like that's announced that has already come out. You were on this latest season of Creepshow. Okay,
Yes.
describe that experience.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you guys, you're not going to believe me, but like literally that was the most fun I've ever had in my whole
Really?
life. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just because I was coming out of COVID land and, I hadn't seen humans for a while, but like, okay, they're like, "Hey, come to the fitting." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm coming." And it was 10 minutes from my house, and I drive there and I'm looking like shit. I thought I was just going for a fitting. And Greg Nicotero is just like, "Hey, Hannah, no, come on. I want you to, yeah, come on, let's go talk. We need to talk about it, what we're doing and blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Oh, shit. I wasn't ready to meet Greg Nicotero. You're amazing." And, it was just like, "Oh, humans, humans." And I ran into like so many of my friends that had read the call sheet. And so they came out to meet me. They somehow knew I was there. And it was just like humans. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun. And then they just, I mean, okay. So the wardrobe department made all these tailor-made outfits just for me. Um, just beautiful, exquisite wardrobe. And then they made all these custom wigs for me, and like the makeup was just so incredible. And it's super fun too because like I didn't even have to audition. They just cast me. They were just like, and I was like, "Well, why'd you just cast me?" And Greg's like, "Oh, I'm familiar with your work, yeah." And I'm just like, "Really?"
That's cool.
Yeah. And I was just like, "Oh shit, that's nuts." And so we did that, and then Greg's like, "Oh well, this is a small role, and you're pretty unrecognizable, so I want to cast you in third season." And I was just like, "Yeah, okay, that'd be great, do it." And so I did that too, and it was just uh, both were just so much fun. And that's how I got the purple hair. Like I trusted the hair lady because I'd worked with her, and she was just so talented. And I was just like, "Dude, you can do whatever you want in my hair. I don't care."
Was
And
that the?
so she did.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
And so she made it this color, and now I'm keeping it forever. I love it.
It definitely works. I'll tell you that much.
I know, right? It's so cool. I love it.
Was that the first time you ever met Greg?
Hmm.
So, Greg Nicotero, big guy in the horror world. You'd
He's the
never met him
man.
before. He just came up to you, recognized you, and wanted to put you into Creepshow. I mean, that's pretty damn cool.
I know. I was like, "Oh, you know who I am? Are you, for real?"
Yeah,
He's like, "Yeah, I love your work." I'm like, "Oh, you know,
that's a
yeah."
compliment. That's
It
a
was such a,
compliment.
oh my gosh, it was so cool.
Now, what would you say was the greatest difference you found between shooting like a found footage storyline like VHS and the traditional shooting of something like Siren? Oh, we lost you.
Oh shit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My bad. My B. Where am I? Where am I? Here I am. Where I am. I'm sorry.
There you go.
I was trying to figure out how much battery life I have because my phone just told me it was dying. So the difference between like found footage, it's vast actually. It's basically just like breaking all the rules. You're looking straight into the camera, breaking the fourth wall. Um, you don't make eye contact with the other actors. You don't have that interaction. You're talking to a camera. It's basically just put all on you. Um, and it's also very difficult to hit your mark. And it's difficult for the actor with the camera on their face to hit their mark as well because they're basically, DPing in a way.
Yeah.
And so that was different. And also I think that breaking the fourth wall has made fans respond to the character in a more intimate way.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think because well, you know how like serial killers will like stalk anchor people because they think they're sending them messages because they're
Yeah.
looking right into their eyes and so I didn't get any stalkers, thank it, well, one, but whatever. And it not a really scary one, it was fine. And but like people I think responded to me in a more intimate way, so I got all this fan mail that would talk about very 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 personal things and that were going on in their lives, and it was actually really beautiful. The response I got, and I think it's because I broke the fourth wall and I was like, I
Yeah.
like you, and they're like, hey, that's welcoming, I'm going to
Yeah.
respond to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as a producer, what do you think about found footage films like VHS and so on?
Well, I think it's a cool concept, I really do.
Do you think it's getting overplayed a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, I think everybody thinks that. um
It's like, well, it's something that was found back in the 90s with like the Blair Witch Project, and then
yeah,
was
it's
like reinvigorated again with Paranormal Activity,
hmm
and now everybody's trying to imitate it. You
yeah,
know?
yeah, it was a really good idea. And I think it might be overplayed a little bit, unless somebody comes up with a really cool new thing. I mean, I believe that's possible.
Do you think you have any ideas as a writer, maybe, that you might bring, something new to the horror genre? I mean, you
Well,
don't
to the
have, I'm
horror
not asking
genre,
you what they
yeah.
are, but just in general, do you have like some ideas whirling around in your head that something the horror genre has never seen before? Because it's very hard. You're talking about a genre
I mean, I'd
that
like to think so, but I mean, every time I have an idea, somebody else makes it. It's really frustrating. Like I came up with the idea for Moana, and then I Googled it, and it was already in production. I'm just like,
uh,
damn it,
that
Moana. I mean,
sucks.
yeah,
Yeah,
like things like that happens all the time, and it's just like we're all in this collective like I don't know, like the whole world is sort of in tune with one another, and it just feels like as soon as you have an idea, somebody else has already had it, or a bunch of people that actually can make it happen have it, and it's just you just got to go with it. It's almost like like athletes, there's this place where nobody's run faster than this guy in like
yeah,
30 years, right?
yeah,
And then as soon as that guy breaks the record, other people keep doing it. It's just like this collective, I don't know, web of possibility.
yeah.
Does that sound
No,
really far
no,
out?
no. I mean, no, it
Okay.
makes perfect sense to me. It makes perfect
Yeah.
sense to me. Now, what is your uh, there was criticism for Amateur Hour and Siren that our films that were too misogynistic. Do you agree with that or disagree with that?
Um, no, I disagree with it. I see where the people are coming from. They're coming
Mm-hmm.
from a very, sensitive place, and I respect their opinion, because it was the male gaze and it
Mm-hmm.
was a male director. But the the bad I was not my character, the female, was not the bad guy. The bad guys were the guys.
Yeah.
And so um I mean, I can see, I get why they say that, and because there was a lot of nudity, and because it was gratuitous, and because it was incredibly provocative. But I think that I think I think if you just like dig a little deeper, they'll realize that it isn't misogynistic. In fact, it's the opposite. It's more of a criticism of masculinism and like what's the word where you're like just like I forget the word, but
Alpha male, maybe just dominant.
yeah, that's not the word, but yeah. So my character at the end of the day is not the bad guy.
No.
She's not, even though she rips people to shreds. She's the sympathetic one. And if you can understand that and realize that we intentionally did that,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I don't see how people can watch VHS twice because the actors were so good at their job and so annoying and so horrible that it's just like, yeah, I just don't see how anybody could not recognize the fact that it was a nuanced, misunderstood monster scenario.
When VHS came out, I mean, it's a new concept. The first
Yeah.
one, people break into a house and there's a TV
Hmm.
with a old video cassette recorder. Of course, curiosity kicks in. They start playing the tapes and they start seeing all of these disturbing real footage things that supposedly happened. For back in that time, do you think that was a completely brand new concept that VHS brought to the forefront, which attributed to it becoming so popular?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a great idea. It was a great idea.
It was a great idea. It was very
Mhm.
unique. If I
Mhm.
mean, and not really copied that much. I mean, the whole found
Mhm.
footage has been copied,
Mhm.
but the way they did it in VHS and how they incorporated the found footage, that was unique. How much do you like putting on like makeup, like for Siren and sitting on the makeup chair and getting all made up for a role? Do you enjoy that, or do you consider that just a big pain in your ass?
I hate it.
Really?
Yeah. I
It,
hate it.
what?
I can't sit for more than 5 minutes. I mean, look at me, I'm rocking. Like I can't sit through a 3 hour movie. I can't.
Okay.
I yeah, I really hate it.
So how
I
long would
do.
you be in the makeup chair for, like, for the makeup for Siren? How long would you be in the chair for?
Well, it was full body makeup for Siren, so they had to paint my entire body and to do the blood that down the front, and then to do when she became the monster, I had to do the prosthetic and on my face, and I don't remember. It was like it wasn't even just 5 hours in the chair. It was 5 hours and then or however many hours. I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but
That
like
is, yeah.
uh, 2016, maybe three, and full, with the full teeth and everything. But like as soon as I would get up, I'd snap off my nails by accident. I'd mess up the feet. I'd pull off something by accident. Back in the chair. So it was just constant, just like touching, and I was just like,
You're
leave me
like, God,
alone.
in today's world with all this CGI, why the hell do you have to sit in this makeup chair for that long?
I mean, it did look really good though.
It
It
did.
really
It
did.
really did.
Yeah,
In
it was worth
2000,
it.
in 2016, you reprised your role as Lily
Yeah.
in a full-length film by the name, like we talked about, Siren, which was
Mhm.
directed by Greg Bishop,
Mhm.
which follows up more of Lily's backstory. Was
Yeah.
doing the full-length version of Lily's story like a no-brainer to do, or did you have to get some persuading to go along and do that to get you on board with it?
Um. Well, like with VHS, I was making a movie with all my friends, and with Siren, I was making a movie with a whole bunch of strangers,
Okay.
and it was a feature, so it was a whole month of shooting. Um. And so yeah, yeah. I mean, I wanted to do it, but I was also just really terrified that we might screw it up.
Okay.
Because like people, I mean, and I read the script and it was a very good script, and Ben and Luke who wrote it were really talented, and I mean, I knew I knew Greg Bishop because he was just one of the local guys who's been making movies since the 90s with us. And I hadn't worked with him before, but I knew he was talented. And yeah, okay, so like a lot of people had been getting like tattoos of my face on their bodies, and all these fans are just so hardcore, and I'm like, what if we disappoint them and they regret their tattoo?
Wow.
You know?
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility to be putting on
That's
your shoulders.
That's a
That,
lot of responsibility. Yeah, and
yeah,
I was just like, what if we fuck it up? What if they don't like it? What if they hate it? Are they going to get it lasered off? That'd be painful. Like, I don't know. There was a lot of things that went through my head with that, and I was just like, well, if it's not me, then maybe they won't have to get the tattoo removed, and they won't be disappointed because it's an entirely different thing. And I was like, should I do this? And yeah, so there was, I don't know. I wanted to do it. I really did.
yeah, yeah. I think
Because
you.
it's mine.
It
It's
sounds like you were just putting a little bit too much pressure on yourself in regards to what other people were going to put on their body and whether they're going to regret it on whether or not they like the movie or not. So,
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, glad that it came out the way that it came out. Uh, it sounds like you really enjoy making films, whether it's producing or co-acting with your closest friends. Uh, Now, when it comes to doing movies with people you've never worked with before, are you the kind of person who's like when you come on the set and you don't really know that many people, you're like the reserve type? Or you seem like really outgoing, you would come up to somebody and, you know, introduce yourself, or they would come up to you? How do you, if you were to step outside yourself and analyze how you work, obviously you're going to treat people that you know differently than people that you're meeting for the first time. But how would you describe yourself if you're coming onto the set with people that you have never worked with before?
Well, there's always that anticipation and anxiety, just like, oh, are we going to jive? Especially if you have to have like some sort of intimacy like immediately,
Yeah.
whether it be a friendship or, just straight up making out with somebody after knowing them for 5 minutes. Um, yeah. Okay, so I'm not the sort of actor who stays in their trailer. Um, I like to be in it. I got a little FOMO, like I want to be a part of everything, um and it's fun. Being on set is fun. You want to be in it. You don't want to be annoying. You don't want to get in anybody's way, but yeah, I try to be as well, okay, so actors are fun. They're gregarious. Actors as actors, you want to play with them. They want to play with you. They're
Well,
playful
yeah,
people,
just because, I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of people don't understand. Just because you guys are in front of a camera, you're regular people. I mean,
yeah,
it's no different. It's no different than any other work environment, really. Uh,
really, yeah,
Looking
yeah.
back, what would you say? You said Creepshow was the funnest experience. So
It was the funnest,
is
yeah.
that absolutely true? Out of all the movies and stuff that you've made, Creepshow is like number one on the fun list for you?
Okay, so there's two others that are also super fun. So I did the show Toast of London with Matt Berry and Alan Ford and Robert Bathurst, and that was also super fun. Those guys are cool, and I did this pilot called Pepper's Place where I got to work with a whole bunch of puppets and dancers and stuff. And it didn't take off, but it was so cool. And I played Pepper, and I got basically okay. Well, this director writer wrote it for me based on my personality, so I didn't actually have to do a whole lot of acting. It was just me showing up and hanging out with wonderful artists and stuff. And so those are my three. Those are my three favorites by far. Yeah.
What is your favorite location that you've ever shot in besides Atlanta? Because Atlanta is sort of like your hometown.
My favorite location.
Have you done a lot of shooting outside the United States?
Yeah, I have. I've shot in Canada multiple times. I've shot in Romania. I've shot in England. I've shot in Kuwait. I've shot in yeah,
Oh,
lots of different
so
places.
you are definitely quite the world traveler. Um, Now, what do you think? I bring this question up to a lot of my guests on how, if you go back to the 90s, 80s, movies were either shot in LA or New York, okay?
Hmm.
And then you had the ones in Canada, Vancouver. How do you
Hmm.
feel about Atlanta being such a huge spot for film and television making right now?
Well, I think it's fantastic. It's actually what I wanted to do. Um, but I thought I had to bring it, and then what was it? Shay Griffith, she and a whole bunch of other like casting directors and producers and things like actually encouraged the tax incentive and brought all of this production to the city. And that's what I wanted in the first place because I felt like, I've been working here for a really long time and I want more content to be created
Mm-hmm.
by these incredibly talented people that I know live here and actors and everything. Um, I think that, well, okay, I don't think Atlanta is a particularly beautiful city. But there's a lot of really beautiful like towns and architecture, and you can always build things in studios, and you can shoot in Savannah, which is gorgeous. And I just think that Georgia has a whole lot to offer in so many ways. And I'm just really pleased that a lot of my friends are able to live and myself live near my family
Mm-hmm.
and work here. Like that was the ultimate goal, and it just happened way sooner than I thought it was going to, which is amazing.
It is amazing. I was born
Hmm.
and raised in New York City for the
Okay.
first 23 years of my life. So, growing up, every time I went out,
Mhm.
Manhattan, you would pass by, something was filming.
Yeah.
Not only that, you go to Greenwich Village, where NYU is. You have all the film students
Yeah.
doing all their filming. So me growing up with filming going on all around you was no big deal. And to give you an example, when I was going to junior high school, we would pass the set of Coming to America with Eddie Murphy every
Oh,
day.
how
Yeah,
neat.
yeah. It was just on the normal, bus ride back and forth from my junior high school, middle
Yeah.
school. In suburbia, it's middle school. In the city, we call it junior high school. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's just not that unusual. Now, I guess it's because it's so damn expensive. Unless you're shooting on a lot in Los Angeles, you really, any movies or TV shows that supposedly take place in New York City, they're not shot in New York City. Very few are actually shot in New York City, and they shoot it in some other city and they make New York look like wherever they are. Uh, how do you feel about that as opposed to actually shooting in at the actual location like New York? Because you've lived in New York.
I love New York, but it's too expensive. It's too big of a pain in the ass. You can't clear out a lot. People are just going to be
No.
like, "Hey, I'm walking here. Let me,
Well, they get
you, you,
annoyed whenever the president comes to town because of
yeah, like
traffic.
get out of here." Yeah, no, it's too hard and it would shut down it would just be too big of a pain in the ass. And I mean, I don't think the city really needs the influx of money either.
No.
So I'm fine with them shooting New York City outside of New York City. I think it'd be more convenient for everybody
Yeah.
and nobody will get pissed off. Like this TV show that I shot in Romania, it was based in Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't look, I mean, the city looks nothing like Bucharest, or that was Bucharest, yeah. Looks nothing like Chicago. So they had to green
So
screen
why
all the windows.
Romania? Why not like pick you know
I don't know.
North Carolina? I don't know.
I think it was super cheap back then. This was like at least 12, 11 years ago or something. But yeah, they just have a lot of really good filmmakers out there, and it's just super cheap.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it all
The
just
do-
it,
the dollar went a long way back then. I don't know if it still does, but yeah.
So now that we're sort of starting to see the light at the end of the COVID tunnel, at least here in the United States,
Yeah.
hopefully we're starting to see the light. Do you think Hollywood has forever been changed?
Oh, absolutely. I think we've all forever been changed until everybody's dead and nobody remembers this. I
Yeah.
think we're forever changed. I know I am.
As far as movie releases go, you know, streaming at home, it was going to happen. I mean, you knew it
Yeah,
was
it was.
going that direction. COVID just really sped up the timeline.
Yeah.
I want your opinion as a producer. Okay, you have all these different studios, and
Hmm.
they're all and distributors, and they're coming up with their own streaming services. I predicted that you're going to see a lot of mergers coming up
I
because
agree. Yeah.
yeah, you can't expect the average viewer to subscribe to 20 different services.
Okay, so first of all, it's analysis paralysis with just one server, but
Yeah,
you got like five, and you're just like, fuck it. I'm not even gonna watch TV. I'm just gonna
exactly.
go barbecue. Like it's just too much content. It's just like, back in the day we went to Blockbuster. There was like five new releases,
Hmm. And you
and then
had
we
a
could,
finite shelf of movies.
and then it was easy to pick, and you were excited about it, and you got
Yeah,
it home, and you watched it, and you appreciated the fuck out of it. And now it's just like, oh, nah, I'm gonna watch something else.
yeah. I mean, I've
Five
got
minutes,
I've got
five
all
minutes
these
in.
different streaming services. When at the end of the day, just before I go to bed and I actually want to watch a movie, I gotta run a freaking analysis on do I want to watch this. I mean, I don't
It's too
know.
much.
It is too
It's too
much.
much. Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think you're right. I think that there's going to be some sort of mergers and collaborations, and maybe like people, well, like Shutter, for example. If you want to watch something horror, you go there. So there's
Exactly.
that. I mean, that's the way to go with it. Um, but yeah, it's just I agree. It's just too much, and so honestly, I don't really watch a whole lot of TV and movies anymore. I just can't pick. And I'll just turn them off and then I won't give them a chance. And it's just,
Do you
yeah,
enjoy going to the theater? Movie theater.
I love going to the theater.
So yeah, me too. And I hope COVID. I mean, it's going to impact some of the smaller movie theaters. It already
Mm,
has, but I
that's a
do
shame.
hope, like a year from now, movie theaters return to some kind of normalcy. I really do because it'd be a
I do
shame.
too.
There is a difference. It's more convenient to watch a movie at home, obviously, but there's something about going to the movies that it's more than just about the movie. It's an
Oh,
event.
yeah.
It's an event,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. You get the popcorn, you get all your buddies together, you all go, you know, you talk about it afterward. It's a thing. It's
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, and I miss it so much. And I have friends in Atlanta. Chris Escobar, he owns the Plaza Theater, which is this gorgeous, gorgeous old theater in Atlanta. And he's been doing everything, like doing pop-ups, like drive-ins, um, to keep it alive, like really hustling.
Yeah.
And kudos to him. Yeah, it would be terrible. It would be terrible if these. Oh shit.
You lost me again.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. It's because my phone's about to die.
All
But
right.
I think he's a survivor, and I think he's going to get through it. And I sincerely hope all these other theaters do as well, because it's a part of Americana. It's a part of the experience. You
Yeah.
need to be able to go to the movies.
Exactly. Exactly. We're almost out of time anyway. I know your phone's about to die. I just want to share with you, our viewers. Oh my God, I can see some of the comments. Summer Springer says Hannah has big, beautiful eyes.
Thank you, Summer.
Yeah, you're getting a whole bunch of compliments, and maybe when you
Yay.
watch this on replay, you'll see some of those comments. Hannah, thank you so much. It was
Oh my gosh.
a pleasure meeting you in person in North Carolina. I hope to see you again in future cons, whether it's later this year or other further down the line. And I want to talk to you again and keep in touch because this has been a
Yeah.
fascinating hour and it just flew by. Thank you again so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. And it's been an hour. Wow, it really did fly by.
It
Yeah.
has. It is. It
Thank you.
has been an hour. Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. And yeah, yeah, holler at me whenever you want to do an interview. We'll do it.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Till tomorrow, on behalf of Hannah and myself, stay safe and always stay walking. Till tomorrow. Good night.
All right.